Alessandro Panettone, and welcome to Pastry 101.
Where baking becomes simple, skills grow fast, and every recipe builds confidence. Grab your tools, trust your process, and let's create something sweet. Mm. So, Shafi, something sweet again and
Yeah, it's
again
always good,
because
something sweet.
yes, because sweet. They said dolce vita. Mm.
Right, it is.
Uh, Yeah, Dolce Vita indeed. Life is sweet, people. So we need to make sweet. Just like our topic for today, right? Shafi?
Yes, yes. So we're going to talk about eclair today.
Eclair.
Yes.
What is eclair all about? Well, according to our data. Eclair is a classic French pastry made from choux dough. The same that our topic yesterday, right,
Yeah, well, we
Shafi?
talked about shoe yesterday, no? The pastry
Aha.
made with the shoe. So we talk about, the your milk. Well, you can find on in our website. Of course, we just talked yesterday. So you got your milk, you got your water, your sugar, your salt, your butter, of course, your flours and the eggs. That's the most important. That's the
Aha.
basic of the shoe. Then, like we talked about yesterday, you boil your water with the milk and your butter, your salt and the sugar. When it's boiling, you just add your flours and you mix, making sure you mix very well, and making sure it's take at least 2 or 3 minutes on the stove. It depends on the size that you're gonna get the dough anyway, the your recipe. And and after 2 3 minutes, you can see when it start to detach from the side, and you can see it's ready. And like I said yesterday, you can use the stand mix, or you can even do by hand. The by hand it's old fashioned way. When you're gonna start to make muscle on your arm. And so if you do by hands, you have to change the container because the pot that you use is hot, so you don't want to add the eggs over there. Otherwise, you're gonna make a frittata on it. So we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna move in a new containers. If you use a stand mixer, that's much easier because you put inside the stand mixer, you just start to mix, and then you add after 30 seconds, it's cool down a little bit. You start to add one by one at a time all the eggs that you have. And so you're gonna see that the dough is ready when it start to it take a few seconds to go down from the whisk. So once we get the dough
Mm-hmm.
ready that we already explained yesterday, then we start to make the eclair. Like yesterday, we
Yeah.
was talking about the shoe that we had to pipe one side and then go up and just give a swing, so you can doesn't gonna make the pin on top. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna with a pastry bag. We're gonna make a long kind of oblong shape. Uh, uh, Size of the eclair, and probably it's the same process like the shoe that we talked about yesterday. Is gonna You're gonna put it in the oven like you say, and after that you gotta make sure after the 20 25 minutes you make sure that you don't open the oven. That's the most important thing. You don't open the oven.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it's cooking. You see they grow. You just shut off the oven, open up for a bit, just to make the seed goes out and let it dry up the shoe by itself. After they're nice and dry and ready, so now it's ready to fill it up, the eclair. Okay, so there is a different flavor that you can give to eclair. You can give chestnut flavor, ram flavor custard. You can put a pistachio flavor, classic custard cream flavor, caramel flavor. There is so
Yeah.
many different now. You can find if you stop by any pastry, you can see the different kind of eclair they can do. And the glaze on top, you can do any kind of glaze too. So with different color too. So if you have hazelnuts, you can make a nice one. brown, light brown color. If you want to do a chocolate eclair, you just put a nice chocolate glaze on it. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna do a cream, a classic custard cream. You got your milk, your sugar, your eggs, your flour, your vanilla essence. That's the basic of custard cream. Boil your milk, and on the side, and to start to boil in the milk, you start to whisk your egg yolk, and you start to add your sugar in your flour. Then you put your vanilla. If you get the vanilla beans, you can feed the vanilla beans after you cut it, and then you peel inside. You take off your beans inside, and you drop inside the milk, so all the vanilla flavor goes in. And once the milk is boiling, then you mix a little bit of time on your practically roux that you make with the eggs. So it's the egg yolk, sugar, and flour. So you mix this roux. Entro, probably you pour all the milk, the hot milk on it, and then you pass again in on the stove again. So you boil up again. So when you boil in, you of course it's going to take a little bit time before they start to get hard, because it's the flour is going to get hard and make it like a cream. So you have to be careful, because it's going to attach on the bottom of the pot. So that's very important. So making sure that you always whisk very very fast, making sure it doesn't attach on the bottom. And after it start to get cook out all together, it start to get all together, and then you start to see the cream start to get nice and hard. That's time that you take it out from the stove. You pour on a nice tray, and you spread it. You cover with a plastic wrap, and you make it cool down. Once it's cold,
Hmm.
then we can add some whipped cream on it, and we can start to stuff our eclair. Now you can make a hole on the eclair on the bottom, and you can fill it up from with a sac à poche, with a bag, or you can even cut it enough, and you can pipe all inside the eclair, and you just put the top as a little hat of the eclair, and you just spread it with the sugar. If you don't cut it, you can just dip it in any kind of glaze that you like. It depends what kind of flavor you got inside of the eclair. In this case, it's custard cream, so we can just glaze with a nice ice and sugar glaze, or we can use some white chocolate glaze. But if we want to start together to be more fancy, we want to put some chopped chocolate inside the eclair, inside the cream, then we can glaze in a nice dark chocolate glaze for the eclair. And that's it. That's the best part is coming after when you're going to eat it. That's the best part. Of course.
Yes, that's the best part, people. To
That's the
eat the
best part.
eclair.
Yes.
It's something good. So try it at home. Just like the soup pastry. It's the same thing. It so happened that it's long. So
Yes.
Sheppy, what is the common mistake bakers make when preparing eclairs?
Well, the
How
common
can
mistake
they
is like
avoid?
we talked about yesterday on the shoe. You have to be careful. Don't open up the oven. That's the most important thing. Once you learn how to make a shoe, they declare it's the next step. You grow in your ability in baking your eclair, your shoe. It's still part of the shoe family. So you got uh, the same tips that we told yesterday. So for me, that one is the most important tips that you gotta get. It's don't open up the oven. Once you got the eclair done, after that to fill it up, well, you can make the mistake. You're gonna overflow the over pipe the eclair, or you put too much cream.
Uh-huh.
If it's for
Mm-hmm.
you, it's no a problem. It's always good to have extra cream to eat.
Oh,
But if it's for
definitely.
a guest, of course, you had to make sure that there is enough pipe in. So I think for the beginner, it's always better to cut the eclairs, look inside how the product came out, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make the whole, like inside, the empty space. to fill it up with the cream, so you can see if
Mhm.
the dough cook well. And you can actually realize, oh, maybe next time I'm going to keep a little extra 2 minutes in the oven, because it's all depend on the oven. If you have an oven, you need to study your oven. So the first time you're going to make the eclair, you have to make sure, you're going to find some mistake. You're going to see, okay, still wet inside. So let me cook a little bit longer next time. So then the time by time you're going to realize how long you're going to keep in your oven at home. you know that's one of the another most important thing. Knows your equipment at home. That's something that everybody's got to learn when you want to cook at home, something nice, something particular, especially.
Mhm. You should know what is the technique
That's
and
right.
know your equipment. So,
Because it's
Shafi,
up
why?
it's up yeah,
Yeah.
it's happened to me too. When I start and I make my first eclair or my first shoe cream,
Uh-huh.
inside it was I was raw still. So you find it still wet. You find it still wet. I say, well, what's the problem? Then after you start to learn, I gotta keep it longer. Then okay, I gotta cook a little bit longer, or I gotta make a little bit smaller, give a little bit more time to grow. So that's stuff that you learn with the time. But don't give up, because that's part of the transition that we do
Kitchen.
in the
Yes.
kitchen.
We always telling people that don't afraid to commit mistake because you learn from them.
Yes.
They are good. They are the good teacher. Experience a good teacher, people. So, Shafi, why is it important to cook the choux pastry dough before adding the egg? Should we add egg for that or
No,
not?
you need to make first the base with the flour, with the butter, and
Uh-huh.
then you're gonna add the eggs a little bit at a time, because you have to incorporate. You don't need to cook the eggs. The eggs is gonna give the power to evolve
Incorporate.
after in the oven. Because there is
Mm-hmm.
no yeast, so that's why you're gonna keep the eggs raw, and gonna be the mix that they're gonna do with the roux that you make it with the milk and the sugar and the water. That's is gonna give the result in the growing in the oven.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we
That.
use the choux to make dauphine potatoes in the restaurant. So we mix the
Oh,
choux with
yes.
the mashed potato, no? And
Yes.
you can see the same progress when you deep fry that in the fryer, and you can see the expand. So practically the choux like in Italy, we do the San Joseph choux cream. So the San
Mm-hmm.
Joseph choux cream, it's happen always when it's a Father's Day time, and we deep fry the choux. So instead to
Oh.
bake, we just actually put in the fryer, and you're gonna see that the is growing inside the fry. It's faster than cooking in the oven, because in 10 minutes you can deep fry the choux, and the result is the same because it's empty inside. You just gotta fill it up with a glass of cream. So actually, that one is pretty cool, actually, to tell our listener, about another dessert that they can make with the same ingredient. They're gonna make
Mm-hmm.
a different nationality and a different actually dessert. So now we talk about French eclair, and then we go to the Italian San Joseph choux cream.
Yes. Just like croquette, right, Shafi?
Yes.
Or
Well,
it's a
what
big
we
difference.
do in the kitchen, we do the croquet with practically we mix it with the choux and the potato, mashed potato, that we call dauphine potato. It's actually still a French recipe, and
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to be made with a quenelle in hot oil, but we use the choux cream, so that's the choux base.
Mm-hmm. Well, so
So
Shafi,
this is gonna show to our listener, how mix is the kitchen, even the pastry with the kitchen too. It's not just the pastry's got his own recipe, gonna be used in other different part of the kitchen. Like
mm-hmm.
we talk about the panna cotta, no? The panna cotta is a
Oh
dessert,
yes,
but I
yes.
made I made panna cotta, salt panna cotta, to make as an appetizer. It actually is pretty cool. It's pretty different. So that's the
Yes.
things that you can try and make at home. Don't just stop at one thing. Try to do more.
Mhm. So one more, Shafi. How can
Yes,
home bakers ensure their eclairs remain crisp instead of becoming soggy after filling? The
become
crispiness, how we can
soft.
maintain. Yes.
Soft. Well, that's because it needs a little bit bake a little bit longer. So that's get to make sure that it's dry, nice and dry. So that's why I told you, at the end you just gotta leave it open, let it cool down in the oven so it can dry up nice and easily. Don't just take out the tray because I made that mistake too. I take out the tray, and leave it on the counter, and you can see it after it gets soft. you know. So
Mm-hmm.
give it the time, to let it cool down the oven inside the oven so it's nice and dry, and you'll see the difference. You see the difference.
Mm-hmm. Certainly, the big difference. If you can see the big difference when you failed, when you when you do experiment for the first time, oh, I do this like soggy, and then on the second time you can adjust, as just chef talking about, adjust and then adjust, and then you will do perfect eclair. So, Safi, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in a sixth season, abstract poetry in a third season, and of course, my book 101 review in sixth season too, a comedy 101 in fourth season, and our food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music are in fifth season, Science 101, Sex 101, and in fourth season, and my baby podcast, 3B 101, Motivation 101, Spiritual Awakening 101, Entrepreneurship 101, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and Coaching 101, and of course, Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. And coming, of course, our Pastry 101 sooner or later. So, Chevy, to wrap up our eclairs, what else you can say about it?
Wrap it up. We can wrap it up. Like say, please find the recipe on our website. We just talked about yesterday. You can see the basic of the shoe from yesterday episode, and the eclair is it's the same recipe. We just the shape is different. And
Mm.
try. Let me know how it goes.
Yes, try at home, people. And who knows, you will be the next greatest baker in the world. Why not?
Of
Why
course.
not? And tell us. So, please do listen to our Food 101 also. Chef and I doing all this podcast is already for 6 years, and we are number 12 best food podcast on the planet. Who knows, our Pastry 101 will be the number one pastry episode of Pastry Podcast in the world. Why not? Dream big, as they
Yes.
said.
Always.
Yes, so Shavi,
Okay, people.
see you soon.
Bye bye.